Hello, third graders. Mr. Wojcik here. I just want to talk to you about the MCA practice test, what it looks like, the tools you're going to need to use throughout the test to help you out. I have the link for the MCA practice test on your third grade Seesaw page, and you can take that as many times as you want, go through it. There's 3 sections, and we'll talk about all that here in a few seconds. So go ahead and click on this link. I'm going to tap on the link again. I'm going to click on third grade, and then it's going to come up with paper samplers and online samplers. You're going to choose online samplers, the first bar here or section that you're going to click on right there. And it'll load and it'll come up as a guest. You can keep it as a guest. You do not have to type your name into this box. There are 3 sections, 10 questions in the first section, 11 questions in the second section, and 12 questions in the third section. I'm only going to go through section 1. You can practice sections 2 and 3 on your own, or you'll have to go through section 1 to get to section 2, so you can do this with me as you go along, or after I show you everything you need to know about on the MCA practice test. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Press start. And the first question pops up. And I'm just going to go over the tools first before we dive into the question here. On the right-hand side, you see some boxes of tools here. This is play to text speech. So if I just play this button, you may or may not hear this reading on my computer, but it'll read your question to you. And I do suggest you use this. There's no sense in you reading the question yourself when they have the option here for you to listen to the question and worry about the math and not worry about whether you can sound out the word or you're not sure what the word is. Listen to every question. So press that play button every time. All right, so that is just playing the question, listening to it. And what I have told my kids when I taught third grade is read the question 3 times. Once to just listen to it, once to a second time to understand it, and then a third time to do it. Because sometimes when you just listen to it the first time, you might miss something or you don't understand something. So repeating that 3 times gives you a chance to really listen to it and understand what they're asking you to do. This button right here, if you just click on it and turn it on, that allows you just to tap on any sentence and it'll read it to you. All right, and then this button here is kind of like a rewind button. It'll jump back to the beginning of the sentence while it's reading. So for example, if I'm reading this, it just jumps back. Just jumps back to the beginning of the sentence. And this one would jump to the end of the sentence. For example, and there we go, a jump to the end of the sentence and stop reading. All right, the cog here there's some options that you can use here, and you can change your speed of how the person is reading your sentences. You can change, it's on normal as default. You can go slower speed. Or you can speed it up and go fast. I would suggest keep it at normal or go towards that slow speed. If it's reading too fast for you, just slow it down to the slow speed. That might help you out. And then we have, we can't change it to a male voice. It always is a female voice. And then the volume to 70%. If you're using headphones, which all of you should be using headphones while taking this test so you can hear them read these to you, you don't have to turn the volume way up to 100%. Again, we want to not hurt our ears or ruin our ears from listening to something too loud over time. So we want to keep that volume at 70% or less, so we're not doing any damage to our ears with our headphones. All right, so that's the tools on the right-hand side. You can play around with those. Again, set them and just leave it. So if you want to slow it down, set it, keep it at slow, and just leave it. That's just not something, this is not something that really, other than hitting the play button, that you want to continue to adjust these things with. So I'll go ahead and answer this question. I'll play it again one more time. And I have it on speed slow, so I'm going to change it to normal. All right, so the key is here in this question is finding out what they want you to do. And the key in this question is they want you to get those numbers in order from greatest to least. So there's a couple tools that can help you out, or a tool that can help you out with this. Again, I highlighted this, so I drug my cursor over the top of this, and then I can highlight it in pink or blue. And now I can remember that they want the order of these numbers from greatest to least. They probably do have these numbers in order from least to greatest also, so they also have the exact wrong answer from least to greatest as well. So you have to be careful. These are reading and thinking carefully tests, or listening and thinking carefully tests. Yes, it is math, but you really need to think and listen carefully to take this test. If you do that, you will do well. Sometimes, I don't want to use the word tricky, but you have to listen to what they want you to do on this test. Otherwise, you will get tricked up into thinking something else. So least to greatest and greatest to least, it's easy to switch around, so make sure you're doing greatest to least. They do have this button right here. This is an answer eliminator. So if I said, I'm going through these to eliminate answers I don't think are correct, I can cross them out. So 14,613, 13,345, I know this is not the correct answer because it's not going from greatest to least. 13,345 should be last. So there we go. 14,613, 14,301, 14,087, and 13,345. That looks like the right answer, but just let me check. 14,087, 14,613. Nope, that does not work. And I know 13,345 does go last, so that doesn't work either. B is the correct answer. I'm going to click back to my cursor here and then click on the letter B. Notice what happened when I clicked on the answer. The forward arrow to the next question popped up. That won't turn blue until you answer the question. So you won't be allowed to go on to the next question until you answer it. So for example, if I did not understand this, you still have to answer the question and move on. And then you can come back to it. I'll show you on a couple of questions where you can come back to it by bookmarking it. All right, so I can undo these answer eliminators if I want to by clicking on this X and clicking on the X again, and that just makes it disappear. So that's up to you, or you can keep it on there. All right, next question. Corey has 2 red crayons and 1 blue crayon. What fraction of Corey's crayons are red or is red? So let's see here. I can do the answer eliminator. So I have 2 red crayons and 1 blue crayon. So I have 3 crayons in total. So I can take out this one because the denominator should be 3 because I have 3 crayons total. So now I can eliminate 2 answers right away. So 2 crayons are red, 1 is blue. So 2 out of the 3 crayons are red. So the answer would be C. And then they also give you the wrong answer for 1 blue crayon out of 3, 1/3. So again, they give you both the correct answer and the wrong answer. And this is where I say it gets a little tricky. So for example, if I was not sure about these 2 answers, I could bookmark this and come back to it later. So that's another tool you can use as a bookmark. Now notice you can go forward and backward. If I want to go backward to the first question or a previous question, I could. Okay, now that this one is answered, it'll allow me to go forward to the next question. Another fraction question. Let's go ahead and listen to it.
Or read 1/3, or blue 1/6, 1/4, or equal. Which is the greatest fraction?
Okay, for this one here, you have to think about a circle. So I wish I could draw a circle on here for you. I cannot. So if you imagine a circle and divide that circle up into eighths, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think I have to divide it 4 times, which I did. Your sections are going to be pretty small. So that is not a correct answer. So now if I think of the circle again and divide it up into thirds, which is going to be like a peace symbol, those sections of that peace symbol are going to be pretty big. And then 1/6, if I take that circle and divide it 3 times, 1, 2, 3, those sections are bigger than an eighth, but not bigger than a third. So 1/6 is not correct. And then D, if I divide that circle into four parts, I'm sorry. 4, they're pretty big parts, but not as big as if I divide that circle into 3 parts. So if I divide that circle into 3 parts, that's the biggest fraction I can have, and that has the most flowers. So B would be the answer. So that's how I figured that one out. You might have a different way to figure that one out, but thirds would be the biggest fraction here for that circle or those flowers. All right, so I'm going to go on to the next one. I'm going to play it, and you should play it 3 times.
Which number has a 5 in the 10?
And you might come upon an answer that you know right away. Do you have to play it 3 times? No, but it's always good practice to do that. All right, so ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. It is number or letter D for that answer. And this one here, an equation is shown. What number makes the number sentence true? So this is a number sentence and has an equal sign between 2 number sentences. So both of them need to equal the same amount. So we need to have what we call a balanced equation. Whatever 3 times 7 equals, it has to equal the same over here. So 3 times 7 we all know is 21. And this side also needs to equal 21. So what plus 7 equals 21? Okay, so now I have my calculator here. I haven't talked to you about this tool. Sometimes the calculator will be there available to you on most questions. You can't use the calculator on all the questions. Sometimes answer eliminator and the calculator will disappear. You can't use them. But for this instance, I could use a calculator. You probably already know the answer, but I'll just demonstrate using the calculator here. So again, 3 times 7 equals 21. So if you don't know your multiplication facts, you can use your calculator to figure that part out. And then what plus 7 equals 21? Well, I'll start out with 3 plus 7. 3 plus 7 equals 10. Nope, that's not going to work. 14 plus 7 equals 21. Oh, 14 must be the answer. There we go. Both sides equal 21. All right. What has parallel sides? Oops. Okay, so this is a tricky one here. You have to recognize it says select what shapes to use. So this one is going to have multiple answers. So they're asking you what shapes. So we play it again
Which
last time. So parallel sides are sides that are equal distance to each other and they go on forever, right? So if this line was to go on forever and this line at the top was to go on forever, they would never touch each other as long as they go. Or would never cross. So that would be parallel. So are these two sides parallel? No, they're not parallel because if I drew a line forever, these two sides would cross eventually. This does not have parallel sides. All these lines cross. This side is parallel to this side. This side is parallel to this side, and the top is parallel to the bottom. So I'd say that has parallel sides. This side is parallel to the bottom. This side is parallel to the left-hand side. The right and left-hand sides of this rectangle are parallel. I would say that is correct. These sides here, there are no sides that are parallel to each other on any of this shape either. So I would say these are your two answers. I'll click on bookmark just to come back to that one. All right, next question.
The perimeter of what is its width?
So you're finding or trying to find the width of the rectangle. So I wish I could diagram this out for you so you could see it. But if you imagine a rectangle, or imagine this rectangle here, and the length of each side is 5 inches. So this side is 5 inches, and this side is 5 inches. So 5 and 5 is 10. Okay, so I have 10 inches already. I need 6 more inches. So would I use this here? No, because I would have to put 6 on this side and 6 on this side, and that would make 12 inches. Plus the 5 inches, 5 plus 5 inches would be 26 inches. So that's not going to work. So it has to be the 3. So 3 on this side, 3 on this side. So 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 3 is 13, plus 3 more is 16 inches. So 3 would be your answer for the perimeter, the distance around an object for this answer. All right, sometimes the computer doesn't read names well. I believe the computer is reading this name incorrectly. Maybe not, but that does not matter. So names really don't matter for the computer if it's misreading something. So you can just say this person's name is George for all it matters, but listen to the other information of what you need to do on this versus the name.
My constants reading. What
Okay, I'll play it again. So the key is right here in these last two lines, right? So I need to know what time she's done reading, 1 hour and 12 minutes later. So it's 3:56 right now, almost 4 o'clock. So I have to go 1 hour. So I have to imagine 1 hour. So the minute hand's going to go exactly back to this spot, and the hour hand's going to go just before the 5. So it'd be 4:56, right? So now I would need to count 12 minutes later. So I can just simply count my minutes. Let's see here, hold on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means the hour hand would pass the 12, so it would be 5 o'clock. And so it looks like it would be 5:08. Okay, so 5:08, 8 minutes after 5. So elapsed time can be difficult, but hopefully I showed you a way to solve this one if you should come to it on the MCA test. Next question. All right.
How many
Okay, so you need to know how many minutes are in an hour, and there happens to be 2 hours here. So I'm going to use the calculator to help me out. So I know in an hour there's 60 minutes, and I have 2 hours, so I need 60 plus 60. And that equals 120, but I also need to add the 28 minutes in. And notice 120 is here. It's not correct. 120 is not correct. I still have to add the 20 minutes in. And that's why I say you have to think carefully, because they are going to try to get you to answer the wrong answer. So you might see 120 and say, oh, that's it. Nope, that's not it. I still have to add the 28 minutes. So plus 28 equals 148 minutes. C is the correct answer. All right, last question, and then we'll go over a few more tools then.
complete
All right, in order to save time, I'm not going to read this, have this question play 3 times. You should, because there's a lot of information here, but your main information is right here. All right, so we need to, James and Theo came to school, they're new students. Kayla needs to get their information on her line plot graph. So I can, here is the information for James and Theo. James has 3 video games. Now this is an interactive problem, and some of your math problems will be interactive. So you do have to do something down here, even though there's not an answer anywhere. It doesn't look like it. So it says, complete the line plot to show the information for Theo and James, or James and Theo. Select a location above the line plot where you want to place the X. So James has 3 video games. So I'm going to go above the 3, and you can see how my cursor changes to a finger pointing. That means there's a spot there, and you can't see it, where I make an X. Okay, so that's a little tricky. So just know, if there's not a spot to put an answer, it's probably an interactive math chart or something that you have to interact with, and you got to figure it out. So Theo has 5 video games, so that's above the 5. There we go. So that's where you put those 2 X's. This is the last question of the first section, so I'm just going to press the forward arrow. And it says end of section 1. I do have 2 bookmarks. Your test will not allow you to submit it with 2 bookmarks, so I have to go back to the word review. So this is the last little tool I haven't showed you to use yet, and it shows you all your questions. You can go back to any question you want and just check on the answer, but you do have to specifically take off these bookmarks. So I'm going to go back to question 6, take a look at it, maybe read it again, have it read to me again, and just make sure I did it correctly, or try to make sure I did it correctly. And if I am good with my answer, I can change. Not good with my answer, I can always change it. If I'm good with my answer, I can just take off that bookmark. I'm going to go back to review again, and then I'm going to go back to question 2. I'm confident that that's the correct answer as well, or maybe I could change it. That's up to you. So I'm going to take off, I'm going to keep it at 2/3, take off the bookmark, and then I can go to the end of the test by just pressing the arrow up here to get back to the end. I can probably just press review and go to question 10. There we go, and then press forward. Now I have 0 bookmarks. I can submit. Once you submit your questions or your answers, you cannot change them. So just know that once it's submitted, you can't change those test answers anymore. So I'm going to press submit, and it gives you a warning, and you're going to say yes, I want to leave, and you're finished, and it's going to take you to the next section. I'm not going to do the next section. That's up to you to go ahead and go through and go through those questions and practice and learn how to use this test and get comfortable with it. So when you do take the MCA test, you can feel confident in the tools, and hopefully the tools will help you answer some of these questions. That's all I have. Have a great day. Good luck. Again, I'll go over this in class for the kids that are not virtual, but for any kids that are virtual taking the test, this information will be on your site as well. That's so you can review it. Have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.